Nuevamente, bienvenidos a todos ustedes a la Agencia Espacial Mexicana. Estamos por hacer una segunda presentación de esta celebración de la Semana Mundial del Espacio. En esta ocasión tenemos el gusto de recibir al doctor Saravana Gurasami. Él es un experto en percepción remota, trabaja para la empresa Resatec y está trabajando en cuestiones de agricultura de precisión, utilizando técnicas muy especiales de inteligencia artificial, aprendizaje automático. Entonces, eso nos da una idea de lo que es la aplicación de las imágenes satelitales para cuestiones prácticas. El doctor Saravana Gurasami, él es originario de India, pero actualmente la mayor parte de su vida la ha hecho en el Reino Unido, en Oxford, y es un deleite para nosotros tenerlo aquí, porque tiene un caluroso aplauso para nosotros.
I hope it will be worthwhile. Okay, so I'm going to talk about it's quite an interesting project called COMPASS. So COMPASS actually stands for, yeah, you can go back a little bit, the first one. Yep. So it's a crop observation, crop management, and production analysis and service system using the Earth observation technology, including satellites. So I'm going to talk about how the project works. It'll be useful for you. I see like most of the students here, so you can ask some questions. And I'll also talk about the sustainability, because this is a project intended for improving the economy of the agricultural farmers in Mexico, especially wheat and sugarcane. That's our first target. Please stop me if there's any question. I can be slow or slow in the remark. So the main objective is to improve the economy of the farmers in the developing, emerging economy like Mexico. And so we also would like to give the service free for the farmers, but we are running this project through the UK Space Agency's funding, which means it has to be sustainable once the funding is completed. So we are commercializing for the other stakeholders within the supply chain, not the farmers. Okay, so I'll show you how it all ties in together. Yes, if you can. So, International Partnership Program, it's a funding gained by the UK Space Agency as part of the DFID, which is part of Global Challenges Research Fund, which is 1.5 billion pounds. So 152 million pounds has been allocated for this international partnership program. This is mainly to increase or improve the relationship between the UK and the emerging economies. And the binding factor for all these different sectors is they all use the satellite technology for improving either the disaster like earthquakes or agriculture, improving the productivity or management, and you name it, everything. So you can also monitor like land-based assets. You can monitor, like, for example, reservoirs or railway movements, actually, so to prevent and for the sustainability, for the welfare of the global challenges we are facing. Next one, please. So, Resatec, we are a geospatial analytics company, and so what we do is we process and analyze geospatial data, and we aggregate them from multiple sources. When I say multiple sources, Earth observation data from multiple sources. It includes Sentinel-2, Sentinel-1, sometimes Landsat from the satellites, and also we capture data from the ground measurements, like farmers or crop advisors taking ground measurements, and airborne sensors, like the UAVs or drones. And so we capture, and also the inbuilt sensors within the ground. So we gather all these data together, and we aggregate them, and we apply some machine learning techniques and pattern recognition, we call it. I'll explain in detail in the next slide. And then we try to analyze using some statistical analysis and our algorithms and provide useful insights for the customers. If I were to put it in simple terms, for example, we're managing a crop and we need to know how the crop performs. We need to know what the yield is going to look like. So during the development phase, we will observe the crop's phenology using the satellite data. We also capture the data using the drones, the same measurement, and we also capture the data from the ground measurements using the ground-based technologies like sensors and everything. So we combine these data, we calibrate, because when you look at the satellite imagery, the resolution is not as high as you would capture on real time. So how do you resolve it? So that's why during the development phase, what we do is we take intensive measurements on the ground, and also, in addition to that, with drones, and we compare them with the satellite data, so we can try to calibrate, okay, what is the error, for example, so how we can calibrate. So we take so many measurements for a particular crop in a particular environment, and we also gather like nearly 20 years of that particular crop's health, how it's been behaving, when it was planted, what was the global climate change being like, the fine parameters, all these are integrated to make sure that the satellite data is calibrated against this intensive collected data, so that in the future, once the product is developed, we don't need all these ground-based measurements or UAV measurements because they are quite intensive, laborsome, expensive, and you cannot cover the whole country, whereas satellite data can do. So during the study phase, we just calibrate against these data so that it becomes independent in the future. So a farmer wants to predict the crop's yield for his crop, they can just use the satellite application which we have developed, and which we are developing as well. It's in progress. So that's it. And it's free. So they can monitor the crop's health every week. So, next slide please. So, just a bit in detail, as I've explained just a while ago. So we acquire the data, we aggregate them from the sensors, UAVs, satellites, etc., and also the ground-based measurements, and then we process the data applying some our unique proprietary-based machine learning technology or algorithms. And we also do the pattern recognition, for example.
Excuse me, sir. Can you export the calibration that you have done in regions in India to other parts of the world?
In terms of calibration?
In terms of calibration, that's it.
We have done, this project is about in Mexico, what we're doing. So, for example, if I have to talk about crops biomass, or a biomass is nothing but the crop's vegetation index, which is the crop's health. So every crop's health is reflected or can be related to the chlorophyll content it produces. So if you take a specific crop like wheat, as it grows from the budding stage, the chlorophyll content keeps on increasing or changes day by day. So we capture using the ground-based measurements. For example, an application called Canopio. It's a mobile application. All you do is just capture a photograph.
Yeah, but in other words, it's how the region affects the calibration.
The
region by itself. I mean, if you do a calibration in India and you use that calibration for the same crop in Mexico.
Oh no, you can't. For which you have to do the same trial again. Okay. For example, for a Mexican crop, the geographical pattern is different, the climate changes, the soil parameters,
the height,
everything is different. So when you compare with other countries, so what we can do is the closest thing we can do is, for example, you're talking about Mexico, the neighboring countries, using the same crop variety, with the same sharing the same soil parameters, can be easily done, sharing the same parameters against the rest. But still, if this is developed, we can take this as a protocol and apply the different factors which will be ever-changing in India, for example. So it's all about adapting the technology and it's just adapting to changing factors to the new environment. Yeah. So in terms of pattern recognition, so once with the time series you capture different data, like for the last few years, for example. So every input data will be automatically recognize what will be the next stage of this crop's health, for instance. So it will extrapolate. So you can predict the yield after 1 year or after 6 months based. That's a pattern recognition, as I mentioned. And so geospatial analytics and insights. So it really depends how do you want to take the data out. For example, you can talk about crop management practice. For example, you want to irrigate a field at a different schedule, or you want to apply a specific type of fertilizers, how much fertilizers you can apply. So it's customer-specific user requirements are taken out of these data processing, and so that we are just giving data what the customers want eventually. And online decision and support and data science, this is the output or a product where the farmers or the end users will use it in the form of a mobile-based technology or a web portal service. So they can have different layers. What they can do is they can interrogate their data. They can just download the maps they want, or they can literally play with it and to get what exactly they want. For example, you're talking about a farmer applying fertilizer. He can choose his particular field, he can choose what his crop would be, and he can choose like what are the fertilizers available. So he can literally play with the application by himself. And for a stakeholder, for example, for a wheat processing company, I'll show you everything in detail, will make sense. So they can literally customize the tool from the web portal, whatever we deliver. So in terms of for precision agriculture, these are the list of features we have been offering to our other customers, and this is what we've been focusing on this Mexican context project. So we can do crop classification, which means, for example, for a government entity, they would like to see the different crops grown in the country or in a state. So as I mentioned, for example, Sentinel 2A is we capture optical measurements, meaning every crop will emit different radiation with optical measurements. So every crop is different, so we can analyze it. It's called raw band. It's on near infrared. So these band rays are different for different crops. So using that, we can easily identify this is maize, this is wheat, this is barley, this is sugarcane in a particular area for crop classification. This is for overall overview of to get some statistical decision on a national-wide or country-wide scale. And productivity, as I explained, you can measure the yield forecast. You can see how many tons of hectares you're going to get for wheat or sugarcane when the crop reaches its maturity. And health of disease, satellite imagery are quite clever enough that you don't need a visual inspection. Before the visual inspection, for example, discoloration of a leaf with some fungi or infestation, these satellite imagery capture it a long time before you actually see the symptoms by your own eyes. So they're very, very clever. And we have been offering this service in forestry, for example, in Canada. The trees getting affected with these diseases, they don't see the symptoms until it really discolors and losing the quality of the timber, for instance. So these have saved like millions actually. And farming management, so this is all about either a farmer or a large landscape owner who would like to manage a crop. So I will explain you in a mobile demonstration. Next, please. So this is just for your interest, as I mentioned about the crop stress. So this is the NDVI, which is the vegetation index captured from Sentinel 2A, for example. So this is a maize crop grown, which was sown during May, and once the emerging stage or the budding stages starts appearing from like week 2, we've been capturing the NDVI through the Sentinel 2A imagery. So as you can see, that's the growth pattern. So the red shows there is no vegetation abundance in the crop. And as you can see, as it proceeds, the discoloration nearly gives the farmer that, okay, there is something wrong with this, I should go and have a look. But we don't tell the farmer what exactly the problem is, because we are developing that at the moment. But the farmer, he's a farmer, so he's done farming for years, so he knows exactly what's going wrong. So he knows the crops better than us misleading them. So we'll tell them, okay, in this area, there's something wrong with the vegetation index, the crops is not really looking healthy, go and have a look, so they can monitor it. This is really, really useful and important in terms of sugarcane. In wheat, for example, it just grows over 2 feet or a meter and a half. But on sugarcane, once it reaches, because it grows up to like 3 to 4 meters, so once the growth towards maturity, it's really, really hard to analyze these actually getting into the field. So this feature is quite useful. Okay, now back to the project. I'll talk about the project from the slide onwards. So it's a 4-year project funded by the UK Space Agency, as I mentioned. So we have secured 4.6 million pounds on this project, and the target country is the emerging economy, Mexico. And we are targeting sugarcane and wheat on the study, considering different factors. Doing our background research, we have selected these two crops because of the ever-changing climate and also the ever-changing prices, and the demand generations keep on increasing at least by 10% every 2 years. So we thought this would be really, really good. And also, if you compare, from our understanding, between the north and the south, between the wheat and the sugarcane growing economies, the southern economy is like much underdeveloped than the northern. So we thought, okay, this would be really interesting actually to get these together on the compass. Next one, please. So as I mentioned, so we try to target to benefit at least 1,200 farmers by 2020, and so the numbers are increasing as I talk, because we've been visiting the farmers, our project partners, and the farmers' union, etc., talking about the project, sharing our other current users, sharing their opinions. So we are attracting good numbers, which is a good sign.
Is there any significant advantage in using hyperspectral sensors for these studies? Hyperspectral sensors.
Yes, we can use the sensors during the study, but
is there a significant advantage versus using just the normal, tree colors and infrared?
No, with our calibration actually it has given enough accuracy. So with the NVI or the Sentinel-2 AAV optical, so yeah, we haven't found any need for that. The high spectral imagery. Yeah. So we wanted to quantify what we want to achieve. Okay, 1,200 farmers going to use it, and then what benefits are they going to get? So we're trying to target at least every farmer should get at least 5% increase in the yield. For example, if you're going to get 100 tons, you're going to get 105 tons per hectare, for instance. That's our minimum target, but the crop model, which I'm going to explain how it's already shown potential of up to 15%. So not just the yield. So how do you increase the economy of the farmers? Either by increasing the crop's yield, and also by decreasing the other input costs. For example, if you're talking about the wheat farmer in Sonora, where water is a critical factor of spending money, and also the resources really, really limited. So you're only allowed 3 or 4 irrigation cycles in a year in a cycle. So it is very, very limited. So you have to use you have to make the most of it. And also the pesticides or fertilizers, these are all the cost-inducing factors. So we want to reduce all these to bring an optimum measure that as a farmer's benefit. And we also would like to address the socio-environmental issues. We can monitor the water pollutants, for example. At any sector, the farmers may be using a not so recommended fertilizer or a pesticide, so which could be harmful to the environment. So during the rain or when it flushes out when it rains to the nearby water level, we can actually monitor the water quality and see how much pollutants have been measured. So having a government interested in such an application, it would really help them to bring in some new policies saying that you can't use this, rather use this to take some environmental measures. Next one, please. So, as I said, we would like to target at least 1,200 farmers benefiting from the application. We would like to increase at least 5% of productivity of the income stream. And capacity building or capacity training is, for example, not all the farmers are farming by themselves. They are being advised by trainers, like crop advisors from the farmers' union. So we would like to provide these training, including the farmers' union, so that they will disseminate the benefits for the rest of the community of the farmers to use it more. So we would like to target at least 60 of them by 2020. And in terms of demand generation, as I said, in terms of sustainability, the application is free for the farmers, but we have to commercialize it to make it sustainable. So, and also it would be very, very useful for the other stakeholders, like a crop insurance company, whomever is associated with the farmer, a crop insurance company, a wheat processor, a molinero, and trigo, azucar, or water bodies, like irrigation district, so that we can sell those services on a subscription basis, and in return, both the farmers and also themselves benefit from it. So in terms of demand generation, 1.2 million tons is what we are expecting to achieve. And organizations' capacity, these are the big organizations, like international organizations, where we would like to disseminate this to. So we already covered 2 of the organizations in this. And the end user tools, as I mentioned about the stakeholders, the commercial users. So we have already secured 3 so far. We would like to raise it up to 5 by 2020. Next one, please. So, in summary, these are the impacts and outputs we would like to see on the application to be beneficial for our end users. Yield prediction, crop health monitoring, crop management practice, where the farmer can just use his mobile just to manage the crop. He doesn't have to, I'll show you a demonstration of that application. And optimum sowing date, because we have done enough research and also calibrated the type of data that the farmer, we can actually advise the farmer to pick the right optimum sowing date so that the yield, it will show the yield, what's going to be the yield once you go through one particular sowing date. So he can choose the optimum sowing date to get the maximum yield out of the application. And irrigation schedule, as I mentioned, this is quite important for water-prone areas like wheat.
Could this application be used by the banks to provide loans to the farmers based on the yield prediction?
Yes, I will show you those modules. In terms of banks, you mean the cooperatives, farmers union?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And also, we would like to, as I mentioned, we would like to interlink all these different users within this community into one platform called Compass. Okay, so this is how it works. We gather the data, and we don't own any data. These are open source data from ESA, European Space Agency, Sentinel-2A, Sentinel-1, Landsat, etc. So we acquire those data from the ESA database, and on one hand, and as I mentioned, we have been collecting intensive data collection protocol for trying to observe how these crops perform and what are the soil parameters, what was the yield for the particular year with this ever-changing climate. So all these have been combined to develop a crop model. So the way the crop model works is that it gathers all these data put together, and it will mimic the actual crop. Either it's a specific variety of wheat for a hybrid, or for a specific variety, or a sugarcane, so that you can actually simulate. If I put X amount of water into the crop model, it will show, okay, with this X amount of water, this is what the crop stress is going to look like. This is called the stomatal stress, we call it. Any plant, any crop going through a stress with deficiency of water is called the stomatal stress. So it will show, this is how the stomatal stress would look like. So you need this amount of water to get the maximum leaf area index or the chlorophyll content or the health itself. So we've been developing 2 different crop models, one for sugarcane and one for the wheat. And so this is our Resedex server infrastructure. So we gather all these data together into our Geo server. And as I mentioned about these algorithms and the machine learning techniques, everything. So those will be processed, and then those will be sent out to the web server. And these are the different products we offer for our different customers, including farmers, other end users. So, so the crop model is a key element in this project, which gathers all these data together and provides us a useful insight to what we want out of. For example, for a farmer, he wants to know how much fertilizer he wants to apply. For a wheat farming, for a wheat processor, they want to see in the particular state, for example, Oregon, where like 200 farmers are providing the grain for soybean. They want to see ahead how much wheat, tons of wheat, are we going to process in our industry. So all these can be given through their different portals they want to see. So that's just a specific crop growth model for your information. So these are the different factors we have been collecting. If you see the green ones, these are related to the water-based factors which affect the crop's health, including irrigation, transpiration, or air temperature, the actual canopy transpiration, which is the amount of water it evaporates in a given climate condition, and soil evaporation. So, and the green ones are the stomatal conductance, as I mentioned, which is related to the water stress level which a crop will go through, and harvest index. And the red ones are the stress coefficient. So these are linked to the biomass and from which the yield is predicted. So this is just to give you an idea of what are the factors we are considering to develop a crop growth model. So this is based on the United Nations FAO crop, but this is not the model we're using. In addition, we have combined at least 3 to 4 other crop models specific for this Mexican wheat and sugarcane variety. Next one, please. So this is just another slideshow to explain it better. So we collect 2 different sets, as I mentioned, about this intensive data collection protocol we've been doing. So we collect initial seasonal forecast as one set, and also in-season forecasting as another set to develop this crop model. So as I mentioned, the climate, temperature, and precipitation. As I mentioned, we've been collecting these ground-based measurements, sensor-based measurements, satellites, and we also been linking with the local met stations, which keeps constantly provides us the weather data and also historical data. So we've been collecting like 20 years to develop the model, but in the future, all these will be will be fed into the model as well. Next one, please. So we have covered on this project. We are covering the Yaqui Valley in Oregon, the wheat, and considering the sugarcane, because in Yaqui Valley, wheat is quite a simple crop. There's no rain, hardly any rain. So the factors are really simple. The controlling factors are really simple because for the crop growth model, the different climatic conditions is a key challenge. So with wheat, it's so easy for us to manipulate or simulate this crop growth model because we know exactly when it's going to rain, which is like 1 or 2 days, and we know how much water the farmers have been applying. So all these factors are controlled. So in that case, we thought it would be, and it's a 6-month crop against sugarcane, which is an 18-month crop. So we wanted to focus on the wheat first, while the sugarcane keeps growing, and apply the technology to the sugarcane, applying what the variable factors are. So we covered like 3 different sugarcane, considering that the 3 are 3 different geographically spread locations: humid, tropical, and I think it's kind of dry climate near Veracruz. So we want that once these crop models develop, maximum farmers can benefit within this different areas. So the number of farmers engaged till date is 56 plus, and not to be a beneficiary, but we have had trial sites. So these farmers are engaged with 56 plus different trial sites. So every farm plot will be like 20 hectares to 13 hectares. So we got like 56 plus different farm sizes within wheat and sugarcane. And we are observing up to 7 crop cycles between wheat and sugarcane to ensure that we don't want to mislead the farmers in the future such that this compost technology works really well. And the number of hectares being collected is 1,500 approximately. So that's quite intensive, which means like sometimes it takes every 2 days you take a measurement, or every week you make a measurement. So it's quite labor intensive, but it has already shown the worth. I'll cover it in the next few slides. And as I mentioned, we're covering 4 different areas in Mexico.
When you mention labor intensive, what do you mean by that?
The data collection. Because on a normal farming practice, the farmers will just go do their activities, apply water,
the ground collection,
the ground data collection, like soil parameters. So we dig some soil, like ground and to need to see the what do you say, the soil moisture intent,
right.
And also the leaf area index, the canopy cover, and yeah, etc. So how we do it? We have like 2 Mexican partners and 2 of our UK partners. So we are managing this project, leading it. So Uso of Nottingham, Professor Neil Crowd, he's an expert, and they are expert in this crop model, as I mentioned, development. So Booker Tate and Corpus. Corpus is based in Tabasco. They are part of the Mascana sugarcane research group. So at CIMMYT, the wheat International Wheat and Maize Research Center. So these two research centers, being part of the project, they are responsible for collecting these data, having the farmers, so doing all these trials together intensively, and providing the details, providing the data to us, and also the crop model. So the crop model gets the data from both, so that, and that's how we're doing. And so I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a demo of our current application, because I have to tell you, the major challenge we have been facing on bringing in a technology to our farmers community is that it's really challenging, because the digital literacy is not the same, and countrywide it's a huge difference. Like farmers in the wheat areas, they use iPhones, they are quite technically equipped. But having said that, not everyone, the age factor comes into it, and also the sugarcane, it's completely different. Some farmers have not even used phones. So how do you make them that this is really beneficial for them? Because we can bring any amount of technology to use it, like an Apple gadget, but for the end user, is it going to be useful? So all these farmers we have been, who have been involved in the last 2 years, we have been talking to them, we have been collecting so many interviews with them. Okay, you're a farmer, like just asking about them, like, do you use any gadgets? What's your education level? And if you use a mobile phone, do you use an Android or Apple? If you use Android, you just make a call, or you use Facebook or WhatsApp, just to understand their technical adaptability or the digital literacy, so that we can bring in something similar or familiar in a format so that everyone gets it. So we have been, and also, so it has taken so many versions or iterations to get to this design phase, which I will show you now. So every feature you will see is designed as a farmer wanted it, so that they use it.
Excuse me, is the situation in Mexico similar to India in terms of literacy, digital literacy?
Well, I would say it's roughly the same. Yeah, because we are doing another project with Sri Lanka and India within sugarcane and coffee. And in terms of adoption of the technology, it's quite different. Like if you take North India, the digital literacy is quite poor than the South. Yeah, but it is increasing, it is improving. The mobile phones being cheaper, or literally everyone uses it, so it is, yeah. So Compass version 1.6, this is about an irrigation module we have developed, because when we interviewed the farmers the last year, we asked, like, what do you want? We want to improve the economy of yourself. We want you to manage your crops easily. What do you want? What are the features? What are the key features you would like to see? So the first intervention was like in wheat, water is a primary source, so we would like to make the most of it. And they have the yield, the prediction has gone down a few times because of the ever-changing climate conditions, etc. So they wanted to see when can they irrigate and how can they irrigate, because they're given either 3 cycles or 4 cycles depending on the amount of water being secured in the reservoirs, because it is a desert region, yeah, valley. So we considered, okay, we'll just go with the irrigation schedule. We'll tell them that when do they have to irrigate exactly, so that they can choose an optimum yield. And for sugarcane, for the moment they want to use the application as a data logger, because they just write it in notebooks, they write it in their mind, they forget it, and they don't know when they have applied a fertilizer, how much they've applied, so they don't know. And if you look up, so because of the digital literacy as well, I have to bring in, so it's like age-old farming practice, so whatever their grandparents have done, they do the same. So there's no such a thing called adoption of technology, so we wanted to bring them this one, and these applications have been used by the farmers in the last 4 months, and they find it really useful. And we have like farmers union meeting every month where they share, okay, by the way, I didn't like this button, I didn't like the zoom, I can't see where my plots are, etc. So we keep on improving this based on the feedback received. Okay, so farmer Pedro, he has a login ID and a password, and we register them. We know what their exact plots or the farm fields are, so everything is georeferenced. And a question tab, this is really useful to tell them, because the farmers will get stuck using the app. So once you click on the button, it will show a video demo, or it will show explain, okay, what does that mean? This is the user ID you have to type in. You would have been given by your farmers union or your resident staff, and so literally for every feature you see in the screen going forward, there will be a help icon, so they can click on the button. So we want to see a farmer, say in the next 3-4 years, going to an Android or Apple store, download the application, and with no support, with no training, with self-sufficient training provided by the application, just go ahead and use it. Next one, please. So this is a farmer going to select his irrigation, and he's going to select, this is for his November cycle, so this is what he's going to do. He's a new farmer, he has a plot, and he's going to manage all these activities. So, as I mentioned, the crops health. So we provide the NDVI, which is reflected as a crops health biomass for his particular plot every week. So the farmer can, so the satellite overpasses every 5 days, and we process data the next 2 days. So which means every 7 days, a farmer can look at the crop's health and see if we see the red spot here or a yellow spot, we can prompt them, yeah, there's something wrong in this field. Just go and have a look. It could be infestation or for water or irrigation in that particular area, etc. And so, yeah, he can zoom, pinch it, zoom it up and down, and he can manage as many fields as he wants. And next one, please. Okay, so this farmer, Pedro, he would like to start his planting for November. So there is a feature on the analysis tab called planting sowing schedule. So it clearly explains, okay, select the most appropriate date for your planting your crops. In wheat, particularly, the farmers sow their seeds between 15th of November and 15th of December. So that's a critical period. So the irrigation or the water body, they supply water to these different regions within Yaqui Valley based on the soil parameters. So they supply in different zones. And they also tell them, for you, for this year, it's going to be 3 irrigations you're going to get, or 4 irrigations you're going to get. So these dates will vary. So we have been collecting all these data, like for a particular zone within that region, in the last 20 years. What was the yield like? When did they sow? What was the soil parameters, as I explained earlier? So this farmer is going to do his planting schedule. So selecting that, it will show him his particular field. He clicks on it. The soil type, it's in both Spanish and English, so he clicks on the soil type, and here is the options for him to choose when you want to sow your seeds. So he can just, using his fingers, just go and scroll through. For example, here select the 17th of December. It is showing between 6 and 7.5 tons per hectare is your estimated yield. If you're going to sow on this date, this is what you're going to get. Are you sure? So, next one, please. So, assuming he clicks OK, the application in wheat, once you have a sowing date or a planting date, you have to prepare your field at least 18 days with the water, which means you have to order the water beforehand, at least 7 days before. So the farmers tend to forget it all the time, and sometimes they don't get the water because the water companies don't work after those days until the next Tuesday. So once you select the date, the application will automatically calculate, okay, this is time you have to irrigate, which means 7 days before you must call your irrigation company. And in the future, this is linked with the module we are developing for the irrigation company, which means buy now. Click the button and you'll get a confirmation, yeah, you're going to get irrigation on this date. Okay? On this feature currently, we don't have that because we're developing the other modules still. So it just gives the contact number. If you want to call the irrigation company, do it. And the app will not leave the farmer unless he has done the activities. It will keep nudging him or fostering him. Have you done the irrigation? Have you ordered the irrigation? You can see the reminders. And some farmers in the middle, they want to change the dates for some reasons, for some personal reasons. So it's customizable. They can click on, which I was showing earlier. They can click on the date and then they change it if they want it. So the app only guides them. It doesn't ask. It doesn't push them to do what they have to do. Next one, please. So once he has done it, that's the planning. So that gives a list of the plans he has got, what time he has logged in, everything. This is just for his recollection at any day. Next one, please. So there's also a calendar view, so he can just scroll through and dots show on that day, like it's our Google Calendar or a calendar showing the dot with some activities. So you can see, okay, I'm busy on this day because I have something to do. So the next one, please. This is the activities. So this farmer is new, he hasn't done anything, he's just only chosen his planting. So this is the list, this will act like a diary. For example, he's gone to the field, he's done some work, he wants to write it down. So he chooses the date and the time, and he selects his field, and what operation has he done, like tilling, irrigation, nutrients, riego, nutrientes, siembra, labranza, so whatever he wants to choose. So all this data you see are captured from the farmers, capturing what all the activities you do. So everything is a database gathered. So the farmers, it's easy for them to drag and drop. So he's choosing. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so this is for wheat and sugarcane. This is a wheat farmer, and is it a local cultivar or a manufacturer? And these are the different varieties of wheat is grown in the field. And he can also choose whether is he plowing mechanically or automatically using machinery, and what's the planting rate, and it's a row spacing between the fields. And he can also add some notes, because every farmer will have an observation. Yeah, I've done this, but there was something wrong here. I have to come back look at it later. So he can add notes, customizable.
So you're basically training the phone to understand how you're growing your wheat, for example,
yeah.
or your sugarcane.
Yes.
So can smartly identify how you're going to have your
The rendimiento.
or the other one
The harvest.
The harvest.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Cosecha, okay, so that's a list of activities you can click next. So that's a plus level. So if you stumble, you can press the help button, and it will guide them what every tab means. Considering the time, maybe I should push. Okay, we can go to the next. So he's got all the features available, including irrigation. If it's done irrigation, selecting this particular field. Nutrients. It has a database of all the nutrients available. So all you have to do is just choose. And next one, please. So there's one called observation, which is quite interesting to show you guys. Oh, these are chemicals. Next one. Okay, so that's the observation. So every farmer has got a crop advisor, and they always wanted to share if there was any problem with their field. So the observation tab will show them, say, I went to my field, there was an infection, and I want to share this with my colleagues, with my farmers union, with my crop advisor to come and have a look. So they can literally have the observation and describe what the problem is, where exactly it is, and this will be geotagged as well, wherever they've done the observation, if they've done in the field, and they can take a picture or a video and they can share it. We don't have a share link yet, but we're just making our farmers WhatsApp association groups, so at least they can share it with the media so that it goes to the crop advisor. That's from my hotel room. Apologies. I don't find any wheat. So they can share this information, and this is quite useful for the farmers. That's all they wanted. And you can, next one. Next one. Yeah. So there's a messages. It will prompt them if there's a message from anybody or any notification, if they ordered the irrigation right on time, etc. And the next one, please. Okay. So this crop insurance. Okay. As I mentioned, we're also trying to target the other supply chain within the agriculture, within wheat and sugarcane. So AgriSMX, they are a crop insurance company. Okay, so we want to increase the economy of the farmers, as I mentioned, how they can save the money. So the farmers using this application as a data logger, meaning they have the list of all the activities in a database. Okay, for a crop insurance, if he's going for a crop insurance subscription, what he wanted a less premium. But for the crop insurance company, it's a risk, so they need to know, is he a good farmer? Is he doing a management practice properly or not? So they wanted that assurance to give a premium. So AgroSMX has tied up with us in developing a crop insurance module for them, so that the farmers using the Compass app are members of AgroSMX, meaning all the activities are reviewed or monitored by the crop insurance company. So that for crop insurance company, for any farmer, what they do is they just send their surveyors for a particular farmer, spending money on it, asking, have you done this? Have you applied the pesticides? Have you irrigated at the right time? All these questions, and then it's all written in a notebook, database, came back, and so they can't really change the premium. So for a whole region, it's the same premium. So they want to keep it simple, but this one has opened the doors for reviewing every farmer. So they have agreed with the farmers to give them a premium discount, and it was more encouraging for the farmers to see discount in their for their particular plot. So go to the next one, please. So I'll tell you this is how it works. This is a portal-based application for a crop insurance company. So AgroSMX have got the ID and password. Next. And every farmer within the crop insurance company has got a user ID. So Rodrigo came to me asking for an insurance. I'll ask, like, what's your corpus user ID? What's the user ID? Please. So he will request access because this is a database, this is a personal data. So we have to respect the farmer's, every individual's personal data protection. So if the farmer has already contacted them, then through the application it will send a message, okay, AgroSMX would like to contact you, would like to access your database. Are you happy to share your details? It includes your name, your address, and how you've been managing your practice. So at least there is an agreement between these two people because they know each other that, yes, I need a contract with them, and hence, next please. So, Rodrigo, on this application, he gets a notification to come next please. So he clicks on them, and there's an insurance discount next. So it will ask them, you've applied for an insurance and they would like to access your data. Do you want to approve this? Yes, please. So approved. As soon as he clicks the approve button in his mobile, AgroSMX will get a message. This is a summary of the particular farmer, and it will show the whole summary of the farmer's performance.
So, could this data be used by someone else to speculate on the future prices of the crops? Is that right?
To speculate the future prices of the crops, like a government entity or a food processor?
No, let's say someone that knows this data and has interest in speculating and profiting from
yes, the wheat processors, the module we are developing for them to put the price up. Yeah, it helps the wheat processors as well, seeing the whole region of farmers using the Compass app, giving the live data. So perhaps it can be useful, but it depends how many users are using the application. If you're talking the whole Yaqui Valley, all the farmers are using it, then you can speculate, or at least 50% you can see what is the trend of the growth now. Yeah. And also, without even the farmers giving this data, just using the EO technology, just using the sample data, we can predict the yield without even the farmers' cooperation or participation. So this is because we are already doing in the UK regarding on pasture management and soybean and etc. So yes, yeah, so yes, yeah. Okay, so coming back, so that shows, for example, has the farmer done everything at the right timing? Has he sown at the right time? Irrigated at the right time? Field practices, how good is he in the field practices? Has he plowed well? All the measurements and procedures, interaction with the application, etc. So, based on this is the scorecard. So this is what they could see. So that will give, okay, this particular, so in the database we calculate for every score, we calculate how much this farmer is entitled to. So we take only those factors which will affect the insurance premium and put a score for that particular, not for every activity, so that it is reflecting on the insurance module. So for this farmer is applicable for a 12% discount, saving a policy of 258, for example. So once you click on every tab, it shows sowing data is appropriate, pre-season irrigation. So it's all about crop management practice because he has to use the activities on his mobile phone. Next. Okay, If you're okay, I can go ahead with processors. Are you okay? No sleep? Go 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, this is for the processor. This is for the processor. So, Tunisia Canimo, I would like to acknowledge Canimo support on this because they have helped in outreaching the local processors throughout the country. Next, please. So this is a tab that we have, not a tab, but this is an online portal we are developing for a wheat processor. For example, in Obregon, that is the location of this particular mill, or Molinero de Frigo. And once he clicks on, once he clicks on this map icon, yeah, next please. So he can see the map view or the satellite view. Next please. So there's a field boundaries, clicks on the data layer, it shows these are the list of farmers within their regime or region. And these blue tabs show the yield predicted, the yields forecast for the particular region, and that just shows the radius within their particular region. So they can interrogate, as I mentioned, using the pattern recognition algorithm. They can interact with the web map service, meaning they can plug in their database into this, and they can also take a summary of, okay, within this final radius, I want to know how much yield am I expecting from these farmers, or when are these farmers gonna harvest, so they communicate easily. And it saves a lot of money. Otherwise, they'll be sending surveyors to every farm field, asking interviews, writing in the notebook, okay, are you gonna harvest? How much do you think it's gonna be? What was your last year's yield? But with the changing weather pattern, no one has predicted it, because the yield prediction, not the prediction, the actual yield has gone between 15 to 25% in the last 3 years, and there is no constant up or down. So this really helps them in this case. So you can pick on one particular farmer that shows the details of this particular name of the field, the area, 6.2 hectares, the date of observation by the satellite, so they know how real or how live the data is, and when did he plant, when is the harvest date, when is he going to harvest, and the expected yield. So he's expecting 2,200 tons for this particular. So the processor can get a summary of how much. So even if they can predict at least 5%, it's going to be really, really useful for their logistics or strategy or decision making. Next, please. So that just shows the growth pattern of the particular crop over the time period. So there's a tiny blue actually, that is the actual, not the actual, that's the optimum yield pattern, and this is the actual yield pattern. So you can say whether it's underperforming or overperforming this for the information.
Why are some of the fields not marked by some tiny fields that are not marked?
Oh, like these ones?
No.
Oh, because, okay, so not every farmer is obliged to provide his grains to that local industry. He can choose where he wants in wheat. But in sugarcane it's a different story, because once you've harvested, if you have to process it because of the evaporation, it affects the sucrose content and the quality. So they have to go to the nearest one. Whereas in wheat, it's up to the farmer where they want to process it. Next one, please. Okay, I got one for irrigation, but no time. But I didn't want the next note speaker to yelling at me. Maybe you can slip to the next few slides quickly. Just wrap it up. That's for the irrigation company which we are producing. So they want to see. DREAP is working with us to make this module workable. So that shows the different soil type with the zones, and that shows when they have to irrigate within the particular region. They can choose a date. On 30th November, that's the best suitability to irrigate. And this is the worst because they have like another. So it just gives a priority when they have to irrigate. Next, please. And again, they can go to CDN network, like a tube network or relay network. That's how it works. The irrigation canal, the main canal, the primary canal, and the secondary canal, and that shows the different farmers who want irrigation. So the green one shows, for the irrigation company, you don't have to supply water to these farmers for another 20 days, they're good enough. And for the red one shows there's delay, you should have supplied the water 10 days ago, it's going to be a real mess. And they can choose a particular farmer to see how many irrigation they have. Next please. I think that's it in a nutshell, and also they can just choose a particular form. Oh, sorry. I should acknowledge one before here. I should acknowledge ALAS, our farmers union, who have been highly helpful in outreaching activities. Canimalt, who have been helping us in reaching the processors. Irrigation district working with us. AgriSMX working with us. Sagarpa's support as well, and CRP are signing a collaboration agreement with them, accessing the database. So we've been quite lucky and grateful to receive enough support. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for. Any questions? Oh, you have enough.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you limited to the wheat and sugarcane crops?
Okay, I have a stack of other slides to show, but no time. So we are covering wheat and sugarcane. Our immediate target in the next 3-4 years is to cover the whole region with wheat and sugarcane. And the next protocol will be to bring in a third crop, possibly maize, but in the next 2 years, if we receive some funding. Or if we make it commercially viable, we can put that source to develop it ourselves.
How much time did you spend piecing the data?
For this wheat and sugarcane, this is a unique project, so we can't gather any database available, including the crop model. We have to start from the scratch. So it has taken until this time, like a year and a half so far, and the data collection is still going on. So the crop model is working fine, it's showing the yield prediction, good, but every time you apply more data, it only gets accurate. So now we are not telling you're going to get 25 tons per hectare. We'd rather say between 23 to 27, giving a range, because having the farmer's confidence or assurance is quite important. If you mislead, make it wrong, farmers like, no, this is a waste. It's not showing what I wanted, so we want to increase the confidence. So we are giving a range of information, but they're using it already.
Una pregunta más.
I think we had
I have just one comment. It's very scary. I don't imagine someone hacking the system and I don't know, trying to sabotage someone's crops or someone's harvest.
even hacking the system.
Yeah, having all this information.
Okay, this is okay. We are already providing this service, not in these crops, to the other worldwide customers. Okay, so these are secured in our secure own database. Yes, it has to be. Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Muy bien. Pues le damos un aplauso. Es un honor entregarle este reconocimiento de la Semana Mundial del Espacio, que dice lo siguiente: la organización de la Semana Mundial del Espacio México 2018 extiende el siguiente reconocimiento al Dr. Saravana Gurasami por su valiosa participación como ponente de la conferencia Uso de Satélites para la Agricultura de Precisión, como parte de las actividades de la Semana Mundial del Espacio México 2018 en la sede Agencia Espacial Mexicana 4 de octubre de 2018, y firma un servidor. Un aplauso al doctor.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Muy bien.